I have to give most of the credit to my buddy Aric for that trick. I made a video of the job years ago. I was just starting out, really. Wasn't a crazy experience, but it was like trimming in tight city quarters. A big old sugar maple that was in the next door neighbor's yard. It was like basically almost, I mean, it was like practically on the property line. There was just enough room for a fence. So I had to go next door and, rope walk up, and we wanted to move the material over into our people were paying, next door were paying us to get the stuff that hung over their driveway. It's starting to encroach on the driveway and all that. And then we wanted to not have the material. I didn't have a speed line. I didn't have no speedline slings, and that's basically all I had was what we just described, and we're kind of like, that'd be nice to be able to just like move. If we could speedline this stuff, or be able to move it out over and away from the fence, since it's just two of us, and get it closer to where we needed to throw. The debris was staying on site. We just had to kind of throw it off into their backyard and cut it up. And then Aric was like, basically kind of, said it's almost as if we could just join the load to the rope and have it ride out down to the porter wrap. And then I was like, something to that effect, when he said that, if we could just use this rope, because you kind of sometimes get stuck in tunnel vision or thinking like overcomplicating, I guess. And he just like, man, almost if we could just like use a carabiner or something to like keep it together, and then it would just ride down the rope. And then as soon as he like basically said that, I was like, oh shit, dude. You're a genius. Go to my climb kit and grab me, and I basically had him grab me the Prussic, a Beaner, and Rock Exotica pulley that I already, or at least had those. And sure enough, I think we managed to get some of it on the GoPro, but YouTube had flagged the video because they had used all copyright music. And I don't even know what I did with the original footage. I think it's on an old computer that I no longer have or something. So, but you got to give them credit. And then we talked about some of the benefits of it, or why you would use it too. Because it's like, if you got I think it's gonna benefit you regardless of the size of your crew and how many hands are on deck at the moment. But so like you can achieve similar results by, if you have at least 3 guys. You can rig traditionally and then incorporate a tagline. So the third guy, a climber, or an aerial worker, anyways, and then a man on the ropes, and then you could employ a third guy with a tagline to help pull from a distance, and help pull your rig piece out away from targets. But in this instance, even if we utilize my poor man's speed line here, we could keep that third guy, instead of having to also be, with his hands busy like pulling the rope to help manipulate that piece. Our guy that's running the porty can be doing that portion of the thing, or this achieves that objective, and the piece can ride out over your target, away from it, and then our porter wrap man can untie it and buck it up, while our third man is still carting material to the chipper or to the trailer or whatever your scenario is, But it's, so it's like you can it's going to increase your productivity, even if, regardless of the hands, you're going to basically can take and give one man the power of more, And if you don't like if you don't like kind of where it's landing, maybe try and find a spot farther out. You just got to kind of be aware of when you go too damn far away from your rig point, or how much load. Definitely want to pay attention to your rig point when utilizing this. Back up the rig point. Share the load. Make sure it's in compression, and because the farther out to the side, the more tension you're going to be side tension you're going to be putting on your rig point, and it can almost guarantee you're not going to want that. Perhaps you're rigging off of something strong enough, big enough where it won't care. But a lot of times I feel like when this is going to be used, it's probably going to be, you're going to want to achieve height with your rig point to achieve maximum distance out away, or radius, you know, to where your putter wrap's going to be. Now basically, this is a way, I think it's, I personally, we don't, here in the Midwest, it seems like there's just not always a lot of times, even with the conifers, as crazy as it seems. I know August really, years, you know, way back when, kind of, he wasn't, you know, he didn't invent the speedline, but he made it sexy. He helped to make it sexy on YouTube, and a lot of people kind of, I think, learned about speedline technique from watching August. And so you got the West Coast big tall conifers, and they utilize that a lot for the limbs because there's so many, you know, the limbs are so close together and there's so many of them, and it's good. But even here, it's like our conifers are different but the same, you know. They're shorter, but like a lot of times it's the same scenario, but for some reason it still ends up we still end up opting to not use speed lines on them, because maybe we'll have we'll oftentimes deem it, you know, faster and easier for us to just to rig the branches down at the base and just gather them there, rather than farting around in the speedline slings. And so this is one example of where it might be even more beneficial. You can incorporate them both too. If you have like those slings I held up, if you have a nice little speedline kit, you can still utilize. You don't got to let your precious slings sit in the truck. If you're doing a conifer and you want to employ this technique, sling up a bunch of make a bundle and clip them all to one. You know, if you got like a Big Dan steel carabiner or something, and then clip all your beaners in there. You know, make a nice little bundle package. Or if you got a rigging plate with even more attachment points, that would be cool too. You know, that would be that's a good idea. Use a rigging plate, and you can clip all your branches, 4, 5, 6 of them from a conifer, and then you know, you got your block that you went ahead and installed up above, or even if you had the luxury of installing a block in a neighboring tree, and you were kind of utilizing this. You know, you don't have to worry about tying. In that case, you would be still having to worry about getting the slings back to the aerial worker. But what I was going to say was one benefit too, if you aren't using the speedline slings and you're just doing it like one at a time kind of thing, is you don't have to worry about getting slings back to the climber, because when you pull the rope, when the groundsman pulls the rope up, or even if the climber wants to pull the right end of it up, it basically, you know, pulls that pulley back to you. But so it's not as you know, the climber doesn't have to worry about speedline slings hanging off his saddle and dealing with that and getting them back and such like that. But in that example we just talked about too, you know, even if you are using those slings, you can get them back a little bit easier than having to go tie him on to his climb rope or something like that so he can get them back, or the rig rope. You know, they basically would already, you could literally just unclip them and clip them right back to that rigging plate and send it right back up or something, you know. So I think it's a pretty damn slick technique. Don't use it a lot. It's really been only a you know, a good solid handful amount of use on that technique. But boy, when you can, it's like it's pretty nice. Definitely, it's a blue collar kind of. It's a nice blue collar way to get stuff done without a lot of bells and whistles, you know. Like I said, it's nice if you already have a Rock Exotica and you already use it for rigging purposes and mechanical advantages. Then I feel like those pulleys were made for stuff like that because of the swivel and everything else. And they can handle the load, you know. It's like they were perfect for that.